We got someone I have looked up to since I was a little kid, who's become like a brother / super close friend, graffiti mentor, crew member. His name is Risky, aka Kelly, aka Risky, the godfather of graffiti to me. It's going to be an amazing episode. I'm super excited to have him on. This is for all you little youngsters in the graffiti world that follow us. This is you're about to get a crash course of free. You're about to get your MBA in graffiti. It's going to be awesome. Out. So Kelly, let's tell people a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
Originally from New Orleans, but I came out here, I think, in probably 7th or 8th grade. And, you know, my whole graffiti career has been out here in LA. Grew up all over LA, really. Manhattan Beach, Palos Verdes, the West Side, Venice, everywhere. And now I'm in Thousand Oaks.
When did you like even see a spray can? You're like, I'm going to try this. Like, when did you start doodling letters?
Well, you know, it's funny because I was addicted to spray paint as a kid because I used to steal BMX bikes and paint them, you know, and I love the smell of spray paint. And I started, I remember candy apple purple, which is the weirdest color because it's always candy apple red. But I stole some candy apple purple spray paint from Kmart or some shit. And I painted a bike with it. And I loved the smell of it. And then I started building these haunted houses on Halloween. We'd spray paint the walls black and all this stuff like that. So I just love spray paint. And then I'm in school one day and this kid from New York is there and he had pictures of some subways. And I saw the paint. I was like, that shit's cool. Oh, actually, he goes, what do you write? And I was drawing on my desk. And he's like, what do you write? I'm like, I don't write. I draw pictures. Kept saying, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, bro. I draw pictures, you know, waves and shit.
I'm a drawer.
Yeah. He goes, no, what do you write? And I go, I don't know. I guess Merry Christmas, Happy Halloween. I don't know. Like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
What do you want me to write?
And then he's talking about the subculture of writing and tags and stuff like that. So that day, just because it was spray paint, and I went down the street. I was at uni high. I went down the street. I stole like 2 cans of white and 2 cans of red. Came back to school, sat there, waited for it to get dark, just sat there outside the school like a creep, you know, staring.
Yeah.
Dusk, and I jumped the fence, ran and did this piece. It was terrible. It was awful. And then the next day, all these kids were like looking at it, going, "Whoa, that's cool." I'm like, "That's cool?" And they go, "Yeah." So I was like, I liked the, you know, the attention. So I kept painting, and then, you know, eventually my tag was Surf.
That's right. That's right.
You know, and then I had to change my name, but yeah.
Why did you change your name? Because Surf is pretty fucking cool. Still, like listening to the name Surf's pretty dope.
Was Surf or something?
Well, bro, I was like one of like a handful of surfers at uni high, you know? It's like fucking 5 of us or something, you know? And I'm the one that got in trouble all the time. So they caught me really quick. They're like, it's him.
Yeah.
It has to be that guy.
It's like, it's so funny, man. Cause like I've been blessed to like be around people like you my whole life. And like, I've been around the people that like make graffiti what it is, but like, I don't think kids understand, like, guys, Risky's like he's like the fucking Metallica rock star of graffiti. Like, man, he made it cool. He made it cool. And we're going to talk about all of that right now. And then fucking pumped. Like, Kel, I'm going to jump all over the place. Cause I'm not going to be able to like put the years on.
Yeah.
Right? So you went to New York.
Went to New York.
You actually bombed fucking subways.
Yeah, bro. In high school, I hitchhiked to New York one summer to bomb subways, right? And I got there and I hung out with first person I met was Chino, Reese, Ben, Ket, Ghost, and I think that was it. And then
it's named like gods in New York.
I just like, oh, and I was with Dante, and Dante was my partner, and Dante was like, dude, whatever you do not fucking say you do graffiti. So we walked in, and I go, hey, what do you guys write? And he's like, oh, fuck no. He's like, oh, you think that's funny? I'm like, what, man, relax. And he left me there. And he left me there for 2 weeks. And then Reese let me stay on his couch and shit. And it turned out cool. But yeah, it was pretty funny.
That's crazy. You went to USC, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How did you get in? Why did you go to school? It's something that, you know, it's amazing for someone, you know, anyone like to go to college, but that's like the biggest name in California, you know?
Yeah, I took the long road, bro, because I got a scholarship to Savannah School of Design or something in Georgia. And I won a contest, a National Scholastics contest in high school, and I did a Time magazine cover, and it said graffiti is an art or something. I had a wrist piece on it. It's like I was just like my little fantasy, me being on Time magazine, right? And then I didn't want to go to that school, and then I got a scholarship to Art Center, Pasadena, but it was one of 11 scholarships, and they don't like kids coming from high school to Art Center, so I had to take all the classes twice. So they tell me to go during the summer to take the class, and then come back and then re-register and take the same class. I was like, fuck you, I'm not doing that. And I didn't go. And then I wound up going to Marymount. And then I transferred to USC. And my dad and my grandma, they're all pitched in to help me pay tuition at USC if I majored in business. And I switched in without knowing. I switched my major. And they pulled all my financing out. About the same time, I painted the roof at USC. I got kicked out, right? So I told the dean to suck a bag of dicks. And then, long story short, my teachers all rallied, and I got a full scholarship back and finished. Like,
really?
And then the piece that I got in trouble for, they made a poster of and sent it to every high school in the United States.
You've sent that to me because my bosses are Frank Fertitta. He went to USC, and like now there's buildings. Yeah. After him, Fertitta buildings all over the fucking school. And I remember telling them about you when we got the big boy for the Palms. Yeah. I was like, my friend Kelly actually went to USC. They're like, really? I was like, yes. Like,
so
that's crazy.
What did you paint on the roof though? Was it a piece?
Well, I really didn't do anything illegal. I asked my teacher, can I go paint on the roof? And he said, yeah. And maybe he thought I just meant put an easel up or something. I meant paint the roof. And he walked up there one day. He said, what have you been working on? He goes, holy shit. It was a huge fucking wall. And I think I took Mir up with me, and we did Tommy Trojan, like all graffiti style. It had bridges, and it had Risk and Mir, and we just did the whole roof. And then it made the Daily Trojan. Everyone loved it, but she was like, the dean came up there, and she goes, wow, this is amazing. It's great. What's the medium? And I go, spray paint. And she goes, oh, no, we can't have that. That's anarchy. And I was like, this is a decent principle. I was like, let's suck a bag of dicks.
So it's not there anymore.
Bro. She didn't, no sense of humor. I was out.
Wow. And did they get rid of it right away, Kel?
I don't think so. I think it stayed up for a while.
That'd be cool.
I think so. I got kicked out, but by the time I came back, it was gone.
Oh, okay.
Let's talk third rail.
Yep.
How did you come up with it? Can we tell people, can you tell the story of behind third rail?
Yeah. Well, third rail was originally going to be an art show.
Right.
Dante Slick and myself. And we were rolling in like old refrigerator doors or hubcaps or car doors and painting on them. And we called it Third Rail. That was the show, Third Rail. And then, I don't know, we were all derelicts and all over the court and never really got our shit together. But then we started selling, I was a runaway at that time, I think. And I lived in Hollywood in this little studio. And I had this pinball machine. And I'd screen print T-shirts on the pinball machine for like lunch money. Go down to Melrose with a backpack of T-shirts and sell some T-shirts. And then I met Ash from Con Art, and I was trying to help him. And I could do this Japanese dude just came up to me and wants to buy like 30 grand worth of shit, bro. And Ash kept flaking. I said, bro, if you flake one more time, I'll do it myself. And he did. And so I did it. So that turned into a company. I didn't know what I was doing. Kiyoshi was the guy's name. He was a great guy. My mentor in the clothing world, because first of all, $30,000 back then was like $1 million now.
Right.
So crazy. And then he comes up to me and goes, all right, I need all these samples and this and that. And I'm like, samples, what's that? So I go downtown to the garment district and I'm like knocking on the doors like, hey man, I need samples. Some guys like, what are you talking about? He made Guess sweatshirts and Warner Brother jackets. Val Miskovich was his name. And big Russian Jew, gnarly Garmento dude. And he goes, you have any talent? I'm like, yeah. So he goes, all right, design some jackets for me, and then I'll make your sample line. I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm designing Warner Brother jackets all day, making samples. And it took a year to make the sample line, but I didn't know better. He was just
you didn't know.
He was just me out because he wanted fucking jackets, So he's like, my sample line was like 1,000 pieces. He's like, I'm like, so I got this colorway. I got 5 colorways on this color, and I got 5 colorways on this color. So I had like 200 SKUs for one designer, something ridiculous. Wow. And I showed it to Kiyoshi. Kiyoshi's like, what are you doing, man? I'm like, I did the sample line, And he's like, all right. And he goes, yeah, I need this and that. And I need jeans and whatever. So I made all this stuff. And I finally delivered to Kiyoshi. And he's just laughing. And he goes, this is the way this works, bro. I give you an order and a month later you ship it. It's not like I give you an order in a year, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, I stumbled through clothing and I outgrew Kiyoshi. And the dude was such a humble, great dude, because I think we did, I don't know, a couple $1 million or something or whatever. And we had to jump up to the next level. And he's like, I was like, Kiyoshi, I'm never going to leave you. And he's like, no, you have to leave me because there's bigger people out there and I don't want to hold you back. This dude just never took my call again and just dropped me off the face of the earth so I would go out and grow. And then after I grew, he came back and said, what's up? How you doing? Just a great dude.
Wow. That doesn't usually happen. I mean, we know, right? Like that never happens. No one ever wants you to grow. If they see something, they want to hold on to you and bleed you dry.
Or figure out how they can get a sliver of your next.
Yeah, exactly. He was a great dude, man. I want to look him up, actually.
What, who did the Third Rail Devil?
Me and Cartoon. That was mostly Cartoon, but that was in a Mexican restaurant on a napkin.
No way.
And I was doing the Arizona Sun Devil. I was stealing that logo, putting on clothes. And I was like, hey, man, we should make our own devil. I'm like this. And he looked at it, probably laughed. I was like, maybe like this.
Yeah. Man, that's fucking crazy. Cool. How long was Third Rail a brand, Kel? Because it kind of went in waves, right? Yeah.
So, I sold
you licensed, was it a licensing deal at first?
Yeah, we had 18 years, right?
Okay.
So the first time I sold the company was to Kelsey Grammer, and it was a big play to go public. And he was going to get, I think, Santa Cruz skateboards and Third Rail and some snowboard binding company and some whatever, and make a lifestyle company and take them public. And I think right at the time, Ride Snowboards just did that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Go public. And he gave me, I think, $11 million. It was like $9 million in stock and $2 million cash. And so the $2 million cash I blew through in a year. Not because I blew through it, but I paid off all my debt, all my suppliers and everything. I just paid everybody off. And we sat in the warehouse for a year. Everyone on payroll, Crush was there. Just sat in the warehouse for a year, eating pizza and running around skateboarding through the warehouse doing nothing, right?
Wow.
Dude, I need my money. I need to get going here. And Kelsey's like kind of getting cold feet now, and there's $9 million in stock, and I wanted my stock so I could sell it. And then, long story short, I had to sue him. And I go to court, and we're in the deposition. It's like me, my lawyer, and then funny story about the lawyer. I got to tell you that. And then he has like his 11 lawyers, and they're sitting there. And if I sue him, he has to come off NASDAQ, and he can't trade while the lawsuit's going on. So he stands to lose like $400,000 a day or some shit, right? Wow. So the lawyer's like, Kelsey, can you talk to this kid and tell him, to be fucking rational here and not sue? And Kelsey goes, wait a minute. The same kid that you guys made me tell him that this is just business, and if it goes wrong, don't get mad. Now you want me to tell him blah, blah, blah. And Kelsey's a man, and he's laughing. And they go, Kelsey, what do you want us to do? And he goes, I'd sign the fucking company over to him. Let's get the fuck out of here. And that was it, So I got the company back. And then my dad was actually working for me at the time, and we actually went to work with Kelsey for years.
Wow.
My dad didn't talk for years, but yeah, so that was it. But crazy times. So that, and then I think when I got the company back, I didn't have any funds. I didn't have anything. So I went to my Canadian distributor. Right. They did Echo and Gotcha and a bunch of stuff like that. And we partnered up with them. And then we went on to do, 10 some odd years again. And then we did a license with some guy that does a lot of business with JCPenney. It was going to be young boys with JCPenney. It was going to be a $50 million license deal. And I get a phone call one day and he goes, hey man, so I had a vision last night. Jesus came to me and told me that I can't do Third Rail. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, I have a terminal blood disease. I'm going to die. And he told me just only do like things that make me passionate and blah, 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 blah. Oh, so I'm going to keep the Ferrari dealerships, but I'm going to get rid of Third Rail. I'm like, what? I go, I hope he told you to pay my fucking commission. And he goes, yeah, come get it. So I went and got my check, whatever. But what happened was I made a clause in the thing that everyone that worked for me over 5 years or something had to get new jobs equivalent or better or something like that. So they all got like 3 times. I was getting like $100,000 a year. They got $300,000 a year. So when the deal goes bad, I call them all back. I say, hey, getting the band back together, guys. What's up? And they're like, dude, I'm making $300,000 now. I'm like, oh.
Wow.
so I was at a crossroads. So I was like, cool, I was going to redo it all over again. And this is when I was hanging tough with Jason Revoke and the crew, right? I was just back into graffiti again. I was getting really excited about it. And I go, man, I got to decide right now what I want to do. Like, it's either graffiti or clothing, art or clothing. And I just made the decision. I said, it's art. So I took my little shoebox of money and decided I was just going to be an artist now. And that was it. Never looked back. But I'm talking to those guys right now about getting Third Rail back.
Dude. Would you consider Third Rail like a streetwear brand in that chapter? Because I don't think people have asked you that ever. I've seen you get interviewed all the time, and there's some people that bring Third Rail into that. The original guys like Fresh Jive, Green Apple Tree. Do you consider yourself in there?
Yeah, we were definitely streetwear, but we turned lifestyle. And right. The Third Rail, the 3 rails of surf skate, snow, Southern California. So yeah, it definitely started streetwear. Definitely it was like that. That was a thing, but it just kind of went more lifestyle, and then it got all pimp and hoe, and it went all kind of.
I mean, I remember you had a thing with Kid Rock for a bit. That was like you guys were like boys. Yeah.
Well, he showed up at the warehouse one day, right? This long haired dude. I'm like, all right, cool. Long haired white dude. We must be cool. We like each other, I guess. I don't know who he is. And then he comes in. He goes, "So, dude, I'm gonna blow up, man. I'm this time." He goes, "I don't have any backdrops or anything, but I need backdrops on tour. And I love the devil and shit. I'm gonna blow up."
Right. That's right. That was his backdrop.
Yeah. So I give him all the Third Rail trade show booth banners and shit for the backdrops. And he blew up in like a month, bro. It was so quick. He was on MTV Beach House or some shit like that, and he just blew up. And then we were just boys ever since that. And I just dressed him, gave him clothes, And that was like, he was like,
how many people would you say, Kel? I mean, because I me growing up with all these bands. How many people would you say came to you and were like, "We're gonna blow up, give us clothes," and then like, dude, after a while, you're like, yeah. And then like someone like Kid Rock sells like 100 million records, off his first record.
Yeah, dude, all day long. I mean, that was a whole division of Third Rail where people just would come. We had a special showroom for people to come in all day long, just get wardrobe down. It was just part of the deal. That's just what you did. And I mean, we gave so many people so many clothes, and we saw so much crazy shit.
I feel like Third Rail was like a hard brand to get, but if you got it, you were like fucking made. Just like the Third Rail tag shirt. Like, growing up, man, like if you didn't know about Melrose or some certain places.
It's funny because our slogan was not available on Melrose.
I remember that.
They're not available on Melrose. We only sold the cool shop, stuff like that. That changed quick. We're like, But I remember, back in the day with my old warehouse, the first warehouse on the tracks, Wu-Tang, before they were like anything, they would come to LA and they'd come there and just play pool all day. And it was very awkward because we really didn't even kind of know each other. We're kind of like, "Hey, what's up, bro? What's up?" I was like, "These dudes are in my warehouse playing pool all day." I'm like, I don't know. And then all of a sudden they blew up, but they never helped us out though.
That's crazy. Well, how do you look at graffiti these days, Kel? Like, because there's so much, right? Like, and you live in LA and you drive around a lot, and there's a lot of new kids doing graffiti. Like, you for it, against it, like, style wise, what are your thoughts?
I love it. And, as far as like, graffiti, that question's we're going to offshoot in a bunch of different ways, but it always comes down to social media, because that's what turned graffiti into what it is now. And how do you like social media, and how do you like graffiti on social media? And I love it because it just made it set the bar so high. There's so many kids that are so good. And, we used to know everyone that's good because we knew them, and know who they are. Now I'm like, who the fuck is this? And I'm like, what is that? Like, it's amazing. Like, I'm like, my whole life I could look at graffiti, and whether I did or not, I could be like, oh, I can do that. I know how to do that. But now I look at shit, I'm like, I can't do that. Like,
right.
How did you do that? And that's amazing to me. I love that. And people go, well, is it real graffiti if it's not illegal? I'm like, yeah, man, that's graffiti. I don't care if it's illegal or not. There's a lot of kids out there that paint in their backyard. They're amazing. And, people are just jealous when they go, oh, man, he's not a real graffiti artist. They're just bad because you can burn them,
Right.
I love it. I love the styles. I love that it's so different. I love that people are pushing the boundaries. I love that people make a stand now. As a young generation, so many more people are more socially active and political and for justice and peace and all these great things. And, my rainbow stuff for equality and like all these things are just great that what it's turned into, you know?
Yeah. Let's talk about that, Rain. The big walls. You started painting big walls
Yeah.
fucking as far back as I could remember. You had that one I just don't in LA that was like the entire building, just different style risk pieces, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Cloverfield in 26.
Okay. When'd you paint that?
Wow, that was like 91, 92.
Wow. And
Yeah.
then in the last few years, you've been painting like these amazing like blended colors, you know, dripping everywhere with your amazing circles. And what got you into doing that style and away from just lettering?
So what it was I was painting for the Olympics in London with Shepard, Ron English, and Tristan Eaton. And we're there, and I walk up, and they like, I'm the underdog, you know. They're like, "Hey, Riz, it's so good to see you here, man. This can't excited. What are you gonna do?" I'm like, "I don't know." They all have these master plans.
I'm just here.
I'm just here. And they go, "So, I don't know. I guess I'll do some wrist pieces." And they're like, "Huh?" And they just kind of looked at me, you know. And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna just do some wrist stuff, you know." They go, "Yeah, we love wrist, but what do you have to say?" I'm like, "No, wrist."
Risk has a lot to say.
And then so Ron was like, "Dude, I could look at risk all day long. That's cool, but you know, you should really like think about this." And I go, "Well, dude, I don't want to be a political artist. I don't want to be a propaganda guy. I don't want to do all that stuff. I just want to do fucking pretty colors." And da-da-da. And he goes, "Yeah, man." And I walked to the hotel. I was like, I go, what makes me tick? So I said, what made me most happy about my whole art career? And it's like driving down the freeway the next day after you see a piece and you see those colors, and I get, even talking about it right now, I get goosebumps, right?
Right.
But I realized 80% of the people probably cannot read that piece. They're flying down the freeway, they just see colors. And I'm like, I wonder if they get the same feeling. So I'm like going to try to get that feeling without doing letters or characters, right? So I start doing these color washes with graffiti palettes, right? I'm like, cool. So that's how it is. So that's how that whole thing started. But it's all because of Ron, because I told Ron, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, yeah, that's right. You don't have to be political. He goes, that's what you are, a color-filled painter. And he goes, that's what I was trying to get you to say. And I'm like, oh. And I looked up color-filled painting. I'm like, that's what I do. And then that's just kind of went from there, you know?
Fuck, that's amazing. Few years back, you worked with Aerosmith.
Yeah.
You just started you went bombing with them.
Yeah.
What
Joe's that's kind of a fucking funny story. So Joe and I became, you know, pretty tight. We were hanging out and stuff. And
that's Joe Perry, people, for those that don't know, lead guitarist, like main member of Aerosmith.
And he's like, let's go announce the new tour. I'm like, all right, cool. He goes, how do you want to do it? He's like, just go bombing. I'm like, okay. So
you know it's illegal, right?
Yeah. And he's like, dude, we're in my limo, right? This fucking thing's painted top to bottom graffiti. So it's the most obvious thing ever. We're driving through downtown LA in my limo. I'm fucking got a bunch of beer, getting out of the car, just writing on shit. And we jump back in the car. We're doing the Aerosmith wings and some A's and just fucking around. And then he goes, no, I want you to write Let Rock Rule World Tour. Like, dude, it's going to take up a whole block. And he goes, yeah, go for it. I go, dude, the cops are going to. He goes, they're not going to arrest you. Nothing's going to happen. I'll just tell them. I'm like,
I'm Joe Perry from Aerosmith.
I go, no, it doesn't work like that, bro. And he goes, and I'm like, fuck it, I'll get arrested for this. Let's do it. So I'm doing it. And the cop goes up, whoop. And Joe's like, hey, man. And the cop's like, hey, man. Yeah, all right, later. And I'm like, holy shit. And that was it. So then the next day on TMZ.
That's right. I forgot about that.
TMZ calls me and goes, hey, is it true that did it? And I tell the story, everyone's last. And that's when, you know, we were on that trouble. All the crew had all that beef.
Yeah.
The city attorney, Carmen Stetanovich. And he was trying to bust me and Revoke. Revoke was getting nailed because he was on probation.
Worst time.
And then he saw that, and then all of a sudden the detectives fucking were all over me. And Gideon, you know, Crazy Gideon, remember Crazy Gideon?
Yeah.
Pretty stand-up dude, because the building happened to be one of his buildings, and he says, I will not press charges. I you know, Risk is, I know Risk. If I call Risk, he'll come paint my building if I want him to, blah, blah, blah. They tried to like go after me without him, and they couldn't do it, but he saved my ass.
Wow. That's cool. That's amazing. You and Revoke, it's like father and son. you know, comparing from when you started in the 80s, you know, to Jason now, right? Like,
Yeah.
how do you feel about that? Like, you guys both came in as destroyers of graffiti, like, you know, bombing on freeways. For, I would say, the first guys to take, you know, just black and whites into colorful pieces, you know, and making wild styles on freeways or heavens. Or how do you feel about all that?
Well, you know, me and Revoke, you know, that's like something that I'm super proud of, that friendship and relationship, because that's a dude that said he was influenced by me and turned around and woke me up to take it to another level because I got influenced by him. So it came full circle. I kind of tell people I was like Risk Van Winkle, because I was like asleep for 10 years because I was like,
and then Jason woke you up.
Whatever, graffiti, this bullshit. I was like, dude, this dude's doing some dope shit. And it's Jason, you know, so I meet him, you know, through Casey and everybody, you know, and I was like, he really woke me up to like turn on the gas again, you know, and to hear him say, dude, I would never be me without you, is pretty special to me, because it's like, I think it's the first time like someone influenced someone that influenced somebody. It's just, you know, full circle. So, and it was really refreshing to have someone that had the same mindset as I did, which was total domination. Just be a beast about everything. Just be a fucking beast. And that was him, you know? And so when we hang out, you hung out with us a couple times.
Yes,
it's pretty fun.
It's the best. It's, you know, you just go paint.
I think last time we painted, we all fell asleep into the wall.
Yes. Like, oh my God, we got hammered in Agora Hills. You are still very active, which is really cool. Graffiti still drives you like it did, and like I know you said you went to sleep, and then you woke up, and you're painting like crazy still, which is awesome. You know, whether it's legal or not. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I went. You know, I did something last night. I can't talk about that, but yeah, you know, I still get it in.
It's
you know,
awesome.
I can't really write Risk all the time now, but
yeah. Well, it's very. Let's go to Detroit when this is over. A little spraycation. Yeah. You just worked with Halsey not too long ago.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that experience?
It was cool. She hit me up. Her people hit me up about doing, I don't know what we're, fabric or something, I don't know. And I'm not going to get into the details, but I was like, turned it down, you know, and then she just texted me like, can you paint this outfit? And I was like, oh, yes, you know, and I did it. And then we kind of circumvented all the people and did these things. And then I wound up doing like, I don't know, probably, 8 or 9 outfits for her. And they're all different. And she's very particular about what she wants. And she knows exactly what she wants. And she's not scared to say it. So it's pretty cool because she's like, no. And it was just fun. And I love that kind of stuff because it was like, I wasn't really into like, let's make some fabric and do all that stuff. Cause you know, I come from cut and sew and bullshit. Like, she's like, she made some outfits and brought one, like paint these. I'm like, that was fun, you know?
Fucking dope. You've been like, I've been seeing your Instagram lives and you're painting a lot. Like you're painting more than most people, Kel. Like you're in the studio, like banging shit away. Like, do you feel like you have to do that? Is that, you know, like, are you just still super driven to be in the studio all day and just bang canvases out?
I mean, you know, it's the same as from day one. I paint to know I'm alive. You know, that's the thing. Like, I have no concept of time, nothing. But I could tell you where I was when I did that piece, all that kind of stuff. That's how I talk. That's how I relate to time, and also that's how we talk to each other, right, through art. I think it's creating dialogue is super important to me, and keeping dialogue going among artists. And that's how I am socially. My studio. Next time you come to all this crazy, it's like, you know, like yesterday or 2 days ago, we just had a big crawfish boil, and I have a bunch of chef friends, and they come and, I mean, we're in the studio and they're throwing down. Like,
man, I've been to a couple of your crawfish. It's the best.
And it's nonstop. So people come through here nonstop, and creative people come through here nonstop, and we paint all day. And that's just, I don't really know how to socialize without doing that. Like, I have
of course.
to with the can in my hand to talk to somebody. Hey, what's up?
Somebody was like, man, Kelly's really taking the quarantine things. Like, so I'm like, bro, that's, if you know Kelly, you know he can't be alone. So that, I don't know what you're talking about. He'll get that shit if he doesn't have people at his house. Like,
and you know, we did take it serious though, because we were taking people's temperatures and all this stuff, like, and we started out with mask and then 6 feet, and then we take a temperature, and we make it look lighthearted, but it is a serious thing. But but I haven't left, man. Like
I know. Well, why would you leave? You haven't. By the way, Kelly's got one of the coolest places. You know, like he's got that dream home where you're just like, he's got the big backyard, pool, barbecues all day, refrigerator full to the brim with beers or hard booze, Squeeze-Its, Gatorades, like anything you want, Kelly's house has, so you don't ever have to fucking leave. That's what's so fucking cool about it.
I think we counted the other day. We have 1, 2, 3, we had something like 10 or 12 refrigerators on the property everywhere. Like I was like, dude, how many refrigerators do we have? It's like every room, like it's just crazy, but it's fun. And yeah, I got to be in the studio every day. I got to push myself. My art's a little different these days. I still do graffiti. I don't show graffiti in galleries. I show my art. I do a lot of mixed media stuff. I'm doing collaborations with old friends. I'm getting really back to the roots. I did a bunch of stuff with like all the Venice boys. You know, we all got together recently and did these crazy kind of color washes and just did some gang writing right on top of it. And they looked kind of really cool.
Wow.
Just stuff. And yeah, man, I just love being in the studio, and I'm working on multiple shows at the same time too. So that's kind of difficult.
That's fucking dope. You painted some stuff for Ice Cube back in the day.
Yeah. So I think it's a 30-year anniversary for that last week.
Really?
Yeah. So
what was it? What'd you do?
America's Most Wanted album cover. And it was like Slick and I. It's mostly Slick. He did this, I think it was a character, the guy in a zoot suit or something. I forget, like a machine gun or something. It said America, KKK's Most Wanted. And then Ice Cube comes up and he goes, I want the whole crew, everyone's name on the wall. So Slick's like, risk. So I started doing all the names. Boom, boom, boom. And did the background. And we hooked it up. It was nice production at Motor Yard. And then funny about that piece, I did the Risk piece on the side. Not a lot of people know about that piece, but that's probably one of the most legendary graffiti pieces in LA, because I took the wash inside and I poured paint, like bucket paint, and did all this crazy watery shit. And it's kind of funny because where am I at now? Like what goes around comes around.
Right. Yeah. Wow.
And Ice Cube comes in and goes, how the fuck my name don't look like that? Because it's all huge and his name is
Risk, baby.
I was like, I don't know. But it was cool. And it's kind of funny because talking about that piece with the waters and the drips and everything where I'm at now, Muggs, DJ Muggs, sent me some photos the other day. He has some of my first pieces and he goes, hey man, look what I found. And it's photos of my first pieces. He has them in storage. And bro, Tall, when you see this, you're gonna be like, what the fuck? It's exactly what I'm doing with the color washes.
Yeah.
And like, I mess with a lot of steel now. I mean, metal now, right?
Yeah.
Back then it was steel and cement, and instead of neon lights, I had regular lights, but I had water tubes, bubbles and shit. It's the 80s. And then, but it's like full circle, right? And that's kind of really kind of crazy because like my stuff is so weird and out there back then. And it's like, I'm right back to the same shit, but different, and I didn't even know, like I forgot about that shit.
So crazy. Well, because you were probably painting so much that you can't even remember, and like what I've loved lately about like this little 7th letter takeovers is you're seeing photos that I've never seen. Like I saw some GK shit that I was like, Tim was painting so much back in the day that you would just never, you never know. Same with you. And like, even when your book came out, I was like, I fucking thought I saw everything Kelly did, like, nope. Jason's book's going to come out. It's like, I love seeing older shit so much more than now because it was a different mission back then to actually get photos.
Yeah. Bro, I lost so many photos. I mean, Roger Gassman that did the
100%.
book, such a great job. I don't know where he pulled a lot of that shit together. He took everything I had and he's like, I found this, I found that. And it was cool. But, I thought I lost everything, and he managed to find a bunch of cool shit. I mean, crazy shit. I mean, he went so deep. He found my parents' divorce papers. He found like shit.
It's fucking Roger. Just give him time, and he'll do it. Art in the streets, which I think is one thing that kind of changed everything for all of us.
Yes.
Amazing art show in LA. I remember staying up for days with you and Jason when you guys were painting that wall. Why did you do like the alphabet, Kel?
Again, I show
and sorry, but Do you remember the size of this wall that I'm talking about? If you
Yeah.
had to guess.
20 or 30 feet tall by 200 feet long, I guess. You know, it was saber, wrist, revoke, all butt to butt, and it made one
So
big
cool.
piece.
Yeah.
And it was kind of funny because they wouldn't let us paint on canvas, right? Because dice didn't represent us, so
Right.
we couldn't paint on canvas. You know, everybody he sold was on canvas. But anyway,
Imagine that.
imagine that. But great experience, great show. That show to me. Oh, back to your question. So again, I go to these things with no plan. You know, I'm a spontaneous freestyle painter, and I'll go and I'll sit there. I'll get in the city and I'll sit there for a day or two and roll around, see what I see, and then my idea comes. That's how I do it. And the same thing with the show. You know, I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I didn't have no plan. I didn't know what to do. So I was like, I go, let me just do some letters, and let me do kind of like a walk down memory lane with letters for me. So all my different styles and stuff like that, and the alphabet, you know, graffiti and this, that, and did a big chrome wrist piece in the middle, and it just kind of clicked, you know. Like I kind of looked at it as like kind of like old Levi's jackets, you know, like, you know. So I looked at MacBook pages and jackets, and that's kind of the image I wanted to see, you know. That was it.
That's awesome. And then like,
but
you had a lot there too, though, man. Like you had that bus, which I think is sitting at your house.
So what happened was, I wound up with the most real estate in the show.
Yeah.
Really by accident again, because Deitch and Roger let me do this. This plan was this: I was going to come in. The bus is going to come out of the floor of the museum. It's going to be dripping molten paint, and all these cows and pigs. The pigs are eating the paint. And they're painted like lowriders, and it's about corporations dressing a pig to look like a Cadillac, right? That was the whole concept, and it's a big thing of fat caps and very grandiose idea. So we're putting the bus in there, and it doesn't fit in the museum, right? It can't make the turns.
Right. Yeah.
So Jeffrey's out there, and he goes, "Why is it so big?" I'm like, "Because it's a fucking bus." I had to go get the real bus from the Venice line that that we used to tag.
Yeah, the RTN ones.
That bus. So it's carves and like says Venice, and like I still have like it's the real bus, but it had been sold to another city, so they already painted a different color. So I had to repaint it back to the RTD color, and then whatever. So Barry McGee's out there, and they can't get the bus and the thing, and Jeffrey's like, "Why is it so big?" I'm like, "Blah." And he's like, "Barry, what do you think?" What? And Barry goes, "You know, man," he goes, "Out of everything in the show," he goes, "I would just love just a tag on a piece of cardboard from Risk." And I'm like, "Thanks, Barry, appreciate that." And then Jeffrey's like, "Really?" And Barry's like, "Yeah." And Jeffrey's like, "Put it in the front of the museum. It's a focal point." I was like, "Oh shit!" So that's how the bus is out in front of the museum.
Yeah.
So now I have the bus outside the front of the museum. I got the wall inside, and I'm on the timeline, through the history or whatever. And then so now Lee and Futura are there, and dudes I tremendously look up to, and I have a little history with them and know them. They're just hanging out talking. They're doing this big wall. And it said, "What you write," and I'm talking to Lee, and he's like, "Bro, I just wanted to look like John Hancock, big old tags." I'm like, "Well, dude," he goes, "Yeah, you can't do that on the wall." I'm like, "What do you mean?" "Yeah, you can." He's like, "Nah." I'm like, "I could." He's like, "Whatever." So he's like, he's doing it on a lift, and he goes, "All right." So I think he finished at 2 a.m. or something. I'm like, "Let me go for it." He goes, "Go ahead, man." So the next day I did the what? It's like 3 stories tall, whatever. And
I remember talking to you while you were painting that.
He said, "How'd you do that?" And I said, "I don't know, I just kind of grabbed out the building, whatever."
Yeah.
He goes, "All right, man, you want to get down, work on the wall?" I'm like, "Cool." So now I'm doing the wall with Lee. So now I got the bust, the wall, the outside mural, Lee and Futura, right? And I call on Abel because Lee's and Futura, they paint a little different and a little.
It was different times.
And they're more a little organic and
yep.
They're not like dudes that like to be on a time crunch and shit like that, But me and Abel are kind of in that mindset. So they give us these little head things with these little cameras, and I don't know they have sound on them. So thank God I didn't clown because I idolized Lee and Futura. But me and Abel are like, pimp down, call on the West Coast, like and shit like that. So they make a video of the wall later, and they're showing it in the museum, and you hear pimp down. I'm like, oh shit! They heard the whole thing. And I think Lee actually had to do the video, so so we've been laughing his ass off. But anyway, so I did that wall, and then I helped with Blade's wall, and then it just kept going. I was there.
Wow. What are and this is like just because you were a part of it, but like, what are some cool like battles you saw growing up, Kel, in LA? I mean, you were around Motor Yard, you know, you were around the
Venice.
Venice. Like, what was some cool shit that stood out to you, you know, that wasn't like risky, or maybe it was crew involved and you just, you know, you just sat there in the, you know, stands watching?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many battles. There's like battles with KSN and WCA, K2S. That was probably one of those legendary battles in LA, the K2S WCA battle. And
I didn't know that. I was going to get into WCA, but that,
yeah.
Please, sorry.
Yeah, no. So that was a legendary battle, and you know, you know, they get all mad when I talk about it. I don't think they get mad actually, but like, you know, we smoked them. You know, we won, but you know, as a man, I cannot say that without going back and saying that Prime's piece and Deffer's pieces were probably some of the most important pieces in LA, but we just didn't see it at the time because they did such a different style and they created a whole blocky letter. And there was such important pieces for the history of LA graffiti. So yeah, we won the battle because, and also we were fucking beasts. We had like 20 of us or some shit. And they had like 5 people or some shit, you know, so we, whatever. But looking back, their piece was more important, whatever, but that battle. But anyway, that set up a whole chain reaction of battles, right? And you have to understand, when I used to paint with Dream and Sky and Green and all, Slick and all these dudes, we battled each other every day. Like
right.
That was just the way we rolled. It's like,
and it wasn't like, I mean, nowadays people are just fucking scrapping, taking it to a different level. Was it like that back then, Kel?
Friendly
competition. Or was it just friendly competition?
No, it was well, with us it was friendly competition because we were all boys. But no, it was definitely an ugly situation. You know, I got shot, stabbed, you know, all that shit was like, it was not pretty back then. And the battles that turned into like this whole glorious thing, like the Slick and Hex battle, right, on TV. I got really turned off on battles because I think Slick is so much better than Hex, and I think that Slick, you know, actually took it, but like he didn't on TV. You know, he didn't meet the deadline.
Wow,
he didn't do it, so then Hex won. I'm like, that's not fair. But that's why I don't like judging people's art. I think it's impossible to judge someone's art against someone else's art. So with battles, I think you have to have a very a criteria. So you have to give them a subject matter. Like you both have to do this because you can't just, you know, I don't know.
Just who can put
who what is WCA? I mean, how old is WCA?
Oh wow, WCA probably started in like 85 maybe, and it's a crew. Rival and I started. Rival's idea, he came up to the fence at Pan Pacific Auditorium. I'm there painting, and he walks up. He goes, "Hey man, I'm Rival. I do graffiti." I'm like, "Yeah, what's up?" He goes, we start talking and shit. We're like friendly. And he pulls up on a moped or something one day. He goes, "Hey, we should start a crew." I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, fuck all these people. Let's do that." I'm like, cool. He's like, WCA, West Coast artists. And I'm like, "Yeah, no, world-class artists." West Coast stuck. But like, I was like, world-class.
Yeah. Wow.
West Coast, you know? And that was it. And we started WCA, and then we just it's just like AWR and MSK 7th Letter. We took the best to the best. If you're the best, you got down with WCA, and that's how it was.
How did you meet? How'd you meet Casey? Kel?
Casey Eclipse. Man, I met him probably in the Motor Yard. He was like, you know, he's my little brother. You know,
right.
It's funny because like everyone thought he was my little brother. It probably looked like me, probably long hair. I had long hair. These little white dudes running around. And he was my little brother. And I watched over him like a little brother. And I never forget, I was at some art show. I think it was called 50 Bucks downtown, you know. And Casey's there. And I think Casey was the Gat, Louis or some shit there. And there's a fight outside. I was like, walked outside to make sure my little brother, you know, was okay. And Casey just knocked somebody out. And I'm like, I guess he's not my little brother anymore. And then, you know, and Casey became, you know, big. And Casey became Casey. And Casey, you know, and we were just tight ever since. You know, I mean, I can't even tell you how many times stuff we've done together, and like all the clothing. Actually, he was with Third Rail for a second too.
Yeah.
You know?
Fuck, man. What's your favorite story growing up? Take that back. What's your favorite project you think you ever worked on growing up? Before graffiti became what it is today. You know, like obviously the Ice Cube thing was massive. would you say that was a huge part of your life, or is
No,
there better ones?
I think my favorite, well, I just did the Super Bowl, right? So there, every day there's something new and cool, and I get excited about it. But like, I think the one that really kind of catapulted me was Michael Jackson, right? So when I did the Michael Jackson video, he had me design 3 streets. So one street was pure New York style, like graffiti art. One was a hybrid of graffiti and gangs, and one was all gangs. And he was going to decide which one he wanted. But he had Michael Jackson money back then. Like, so he was like, I don't know, do 3 of them, and we'll pick one. So he wound up like just using a little of all of them, mix them all together. So it was cool. But I was such in a bubble because I used to paint all night and sleep all day, and I never had TV. I just lived in a little shithole studio in Hollywood. I didn't know what going on around me. Like I saw on billboards, school, but I didn't have TV or any of that shit. So I didn't know Michael Jackson did all the, the surgery and all that stuff. So he's at the video and he walks up, he goes, "Are you responsible for all this beautiful art?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, that weirdo. I'm like, "It's Michael Jackson." I'm like, "Oh shit, I didn't know." And then, but the thing is with that video, I was in a bubble and I was trying to get over, because I was in that mindset of getting over. And they're like, "How much do you want?" I'm like, I'll do it for, I don't know, free, I guess, or something, but I need like a lot of paint. So the budget was like 30 grand. I go, "Yeah, I'm gonna need that much in paint." And they're like, "All right." And I think I got $33,000 worth of paint. So I had every paint store in LA. Everything they had, I took it, right? And I get truckloads a day delivered. And I remember one night, I have friends coming in the cars. I'm filling their trunks up all day long. They take them back to my apartment. My apartment had cases. On the walls were stacked with cases. You had to walk through my apartment like this. One room was just a whole room full of paint. And the whole thing for me was to get over it. Looking back, it's so silly. But the whole thing was just to get over on paint. And that was the whole purpose of the video. But the video was a really great thing because I got to see so much cool stuff. Like Michael Jackson, and, mind you, this is Crips and Bloods, right? So I don't know if you know this, but he had real Crips and Bloods in the video that dance. So he picked these dudes from the hood that are real dancers, but they're still Crips and Bloods. So they're not trying to hang out.
They're not cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and he's like trying to make everything as cool as fuck. So you have a chef that gets you anything you want, lobster, steak, and he's like shrimp. So they're all going, "Hey, they can give me some lobster, guys. Give me lobster." And like, and he's trying to keep them like, just friendly. Yeah. So they put a basketball court up on set, and they have them playing basketball. If they ever have beef, like, "You guys get on the court and work it out." And I was like, "This shit's wild." And then that was super cool. And then, so when he comes, he goes, "Everyone has to get off set," and they clear the whole set, and he's going to choreograph it. I'm like, "I want to see this." So I hit up in the rafters, up in the warehouse, like way up in the rafters. And he's like, woohoo, dancing, doing all this stuff. He's like jumping on the cars, doing all his classic moves. And, looking back at it, I got to watch Michael Jackson choreograph something and create magic. Like, it's, again, he's an artist that I respect tremendously because there was no choreographer like with a paper saying, "Then you're going to do this." He walked and jumped on things and came back and this, that. And I think I was laughing in the rafters. He's like didn't know I was there, but like, but I got to see like him make magic and how it happened. It was cool. And so I think that video, and also that video saved my life because I went to jail right after that.
Really?
And, yeah. And I put up Venice, and all the homies were like, "Hey, you put up the hood?" I said, "Yeah." They go, "All right, we got you." And I think they had like 500 people in the dorm in LA County, and it's supposed to only have 300 people. So you're on floors. It's fucking, people are mad. There's 13 white dudes and 500 dudes, and I got 9,500 max, right?
Wow.
And anyway, they took care of me, and a lot of that was because of the video,
Wow.
Such different time.
Yeah, it's crazy too that like freestyle, like your art form is kind of freestyle. Like you show up,
yeah,
and then Michael Jackson's doing the same thing. He's kind of just like looking around, going, "Okay, freestyle this."
Bro, Joe Pitka was the director for that, the producer, director, Joe Pitka, and dude's a beast. Like I remember, like wanting to be like, I want to be like that. Like they would rent a bunch of cars. And then they bought a bunch of cars. So the cars they bought, they could beat up and whatever, and the cars they rent, whatever. So there's a beautiful, well, it wasn't a fancy car, but it was a very pristine, older something car. And I guess Michael Jackson wanted to jump up on it or something, and they're like, "You can't jump on that one because we don't own it." and Joe walks out with a sledgehammer and beats the shit out of me. He goes, "We do now." And I'm like, "Holy shit."
Hell yeah.
How's it like being a family man, Kel?
Love it. Best thing I have. My daughters are my life. Part of the reason I didn't go back to third rail earlier was because I made a decision to stay home and work with my daughters because I was traveling around the world all the time. And now I sit there and paint, and my daughters are here, and they come to the studio all day long, and it's pretty great. And you know me, I was on a
Different
path that probably would not have been good without my daughters.
I mean, you've gotten to travel the world. I mean, where would you say your favorite place is? Is it home?
Yeah, now it is. Japan. I used to love Japan. I love everywhere, bro. I love food. I love cultures. I love different cultures. I love interacting with people. I don't think I've had one trip I could talk about that wasn't so cool. But I love it. But I'm tall. You're gonna trip when you see the pad. If you see what I'm looking at right now, we made this oasis tropical jungle thing. I love it, man. It's like
I'll be out there next weekend. Someone come see you.
There it is. So I'm building here everything I see traveling and just put it in here. So I love being home, and like you said with my family, it's just the best.
Fuck, man.
That's
Well,
awesome.
Kel, last question. What do you view the word success as? Like, what does success mean to you?
I think success is happiness. It's something that we all struggle with, and I think as a driven graffiti artist, you want more, 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 more. And what is more? Is it more a bigger house, more houses, more cars? What is more? And then you sit there and start contemplating stuff, and you're like, happiness is like, and you get to be happy, and then it kind of fucks in your mind because you're like, well, am I happy now? So I don't have to do anything else? Like, what do you do? I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to say happiness is definitely success.
It's awesome. Great, man.
What's your favorite curse word?
I say fuck a lot, but I'm not a big fan of
Cursing.
Cursing. But I should practice what I preach. But yeah, I don't know.
That's a good one.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, Kel,
Where can they find you, Kel?
This hour went by fast.
Oh no, that was a good one, man. I was just listening. I didn't even talk much.
Yeah. Where can kids find you?
Risk Rock on Instagram, I think is the best way. We have a website we just started, right? Is our website up? We have riskrock.com coming up or up. But Instagram is where you can see where we post all our shit usually.
Cool. All right, Kel.
Thanks,
Well,
Kel.
have a good weekend,
Appreciate it,
man. Thanks,
Thank you.
brother. Good to see you.